Hi there, boys and girls. This video is a follow-up to a previous video where I was showing you how we can make a lighthouse sculpture out of recycled materials that we were going to cover in paper mache. So this one is a follow-up to that. With this, I'm going to be showing you how to start covering your sculpture, and then also some extra details that you can use with paper mache as well. So we'll need your sculpture that you made. You'll need our homemade paper mache glue, which is a mixture of flour, water, and salt to about pancake thickness. And you're going to need some torn pieces of paper. I'm using newspaper. You could use any other type of thin paper that you might have. Notebook paper would work, printer paper would work, but something thin. And what we're going to start to do is, my suggestion is start from the bottom of your sculpture and work your way up. So we're going to be dipping our pieces of paper into that mixture of flour, water, and salt, and we're going to wipe it off. We want it wet, but we don't want it drippy. And one of the things that I will do when I'm working, see if I can prop this up a little so you can see better, is that I'll start on the bottom and I'll have a piece that connects the ground to my lighthouse. And the reason for that is that then that piece is going to glue those two pieces together, and I'll do that all the way up. So the idea behind doing this paper mache is that you're using the newspaper dipped in the glue to connect all of the different pieces that you've made. So that was originally the job of your tape, but tape only holds something for a temporary period of time, but the paper mache will do that permanently. So I would do that all the way around, and what I'm going to be then doing is having pieces that also go over these different sides. So if you remember when we were in art class, we had made these hexagonal or pentagonal or octagonal or heptagonal prisms, and I told you to not worry about if there was gaps in them, and that's because the paper mache is going to cover those up. So we're going over different sides to connect them like that. So that's covering up those gaps. Same thing as I was talking about before, when I'm going from the base to that column, the main thing that gives the height to the lighthouse, I want a piece that touches both, and that's going to connect them together. And in this case, when we're doing the initial covering of this, I would be going all the way around, but I'm trying to work from bottom to top, and I would recommend covering the cardboard ground as well. It's also a good idea to make sure your pieces overlap rather than just being side by side. Where they overlap, you get 2 layers of paper mache instead of 1, so it makes it stronger. When you have small spaces like this space here, I'm going to take a smaller piece and kind of overlap that. If you have a clear cup like I am, I'm going to leave that clear cup uncovered, but I'm going to make sure that the tape that's holding it down gets covered up. So I would do that on all of my sides. I would also try to cover up the tape that's holding down my little tree that I made. If you made a tree, I would cover the home, the little lightkeeper's house, the same way. If you use the plastic straw to make that tree, cover it too. So basically everything we're trying to cover with paper mache, except that clear plastic cup at the very top, if you use the clear plastic cup like I did. If you use a different type of top to it and you want to cover it up, you can do that too. So one thing I told you at the beginning of this that I would show you is how to add some extra details once you have everything covered. So I'm going to cover a little bit more of my ground, and then to try to save y'all a little bit of time in watching, because a lot of my rest of my work, at least on this, will be repetitive. So let me get to where I'll show you some details. So some things you can add with details would be, so if I wanted something that sticks off just a small bit, like say I wanted to have like a diamond shape like this. I took this from like a old frozen food container, and I cut out the shape I wanted. I want a diamond shape to go on the side. Here's all I have to do. If I dip that in there in my paper mache, that's going to work like a glue, and I can put that on my sculpture, and it's going to work like a glue, and it's going to hold that on there, and that'll give me a small piece of relief, something that sticks out just slightly. Another way I could add details is I could take newspaper. Let's say I wanted this edge to this corner to really show out more than just it being rounded like that. I could fold this over some so I get kind of a thicker piece, dip that in my paper mache, and I can put that on that corner and add a nice little bit of detail, of a nice detail to my corner there, so my corner gets more attention. And I could do that to each of those corners. Another detail that I showed in my initial sculpture was how you could add sand dunes and waves. So let me show you those. Sand dunes can be as easy as just making a little mound of newspaper. So taking a few pieces and making a mound the size that you would want that dune to be. And the reason you would want a dune is just so the ground's not flat, because if you've ever been to the beach, the ground's not perfectly flat. You have hills just like you do around where we live. So making some little balls of clay can give us some little sand dunes. If you want some hills, then what I usually do is I'll take a bigger piece and I'll fold it over so that I get an edge. Wipe it off. And then what I'm going to do is instead of laying it flat this time, I'm actually going to have my piece stick up some, like it looks like a wave that's going to be rushing towards our house. And I could do several of those even to make it look more realistic, like it's the ocean there coming towards our lighthouse. So that's a way we can start to add some details more than just laying things flat like we've been doing. So I hope that helps. When you're done paper macheing, you can use paint if you have it. You could also use colored paper to give some details to things as well. You could also even color it with markers or colored pencils. So whatever you happen to have around, you can use to add your details, or to give some color, excuse me, in the end. So I hope that's been helpful. Happy making, and I'd love to see your sculpture when you're done. Bye.